A wave of pager and walkie-talkie explosions rocked Beirut, killing dozens. Hezbollah blames Israel for the remote attacks, which were followed by multiple airstrikes that killed hundreds. How safe are communications devices, and what measures is Türkiye taking to ensure its hardware is safe? I'll break it all down here on Straight Talk. Hello and welcome to Straight Talk. I'm Yusuf Aram. Turkey is reviewing measures to secure electronic devices used by its armed forces. Now, this stepped-up security comes after a wave of pager and walkie-talkies were remotely detonated across Lebanon, killing dozens. Hezbollah blamed the device explosions on Israel, which has been increasing its airstrikes against the group. Ankara says it's going to bolster its cybersecurity to ensure the safety of its hardware. Turkey's top diplomat said a more comprehensive national strategy to address the growing cyber threats is on the way. Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan specifically mentioned the 2 days of remote device attacks in Lebanon. The blast killed several senior Hezbollah officials, including top commander Ibrahim Aqeel. Hezbollah responded by firing rockets into Israel, which was met with counterattacks across southern Lebanon that left hundreds of people dead. Israel has also warned people in Beirut and elsewhere to evacuate, as fears grow of a wider war between the two neighbors. For more on tackling cyber threats, joining me now from Jakarta is Alper Özbilen. He's the chairperson of PAVO Group and has consulted several governments on cybersecurity threats. Alper, thanks for joining me. Now, this is a very interesting attack on Lebanon, something basically right out of the movies. Now, when you look at this attack, well, whether many people believe it's Israel, that's the general public opinion. How is it defined? How are you defining it? Should it be considered a cyber operations? Should it be considered cyber terrorism? How do you look at it?
Thank you for having me. I would like to start with this. Israel removed detonation of thousands of the Hezbollah pagers was commonly considered, as you said, as a cyber attack. The fact is that calling it just a cyber operation is too simplistic and misleading, in my opinion. However, we see that in this case, it was done openly, and it was turned into propaganda. Both in terms of the numbers and the methodology, this operation has aspects that distinguish it from previous one. In general, we refer to intelligence operation that are limited to location and communication content as cyber intelligence operation. Yet, in this case, the scope goes far beyond that. Shortly, rather than calling it a cyber operation, we can describe it as a comprehensive opportunity operation, heavily utilized cyber capabilities. This operation highlights Israel's intelligence capabilities, combining information gathering with advanced software and hardware expertise. Most likely, Israel authorities obtains information about procurement requests for Hezbollah's the pagers, and then secretly was waited for right time to detonate them using the broadcast feature of pager infrastructure. This is a prime example of an opportunity operation in intelligence the practice. By exploiting the pagers remotely, Israel not only showcased its technical proficiency and expertise, but also capitalized on the perception of cyber capabilities, especially in relation to communication devices.
Now, Alper, you advise governments on cybersecurity. Your company, Pavo Group, is also specializing in providing cyber security and cyber operations services. You've worked in intelligence, so you have many different perspectives regarding this operation, let's call it. How do you view Israel's capabilities to, let's say it is Israel, hypothetically, even though they haven't claimed responsibility, but that's where the finger's pointing. When you look at this operation, how sophisticated is it? How much planning went into this?
Yeah, I would like to start with this. Despite its small population and limited natural resources, Israel considers advanced technology as a tool to leverage its economic power and the military capacity. Even before cybersecurity became a global concern, Israel integrated it into the main pillar of its military strategy. Israel technical capabilities are remarkable without question. Yet these capabilities are beyond the challenge or unbeatable. I am strongly confident that one of the motivation behind the attack is that Israel has fostered a perception of technological dominance over others. At that point, it's important to remember that Israel governments, as you know very well, found itself in a hard time just after October 7 attack, simply because the perception of the Israel intelligence has been shifted from unbeatable to beatable. Somehow it led to loss of the confidence. After the pager explosion, the attack performed by Israel against the Lebanon or Hezbollah member or paramilitary group, the previous picture for Israel against the Israel military intelligence perception has been positively changed in the favor of the Israel. I think they needed this.
Now, I think one of the major concerns just for everyday people, for example, I always have my cell phone in my pocket. Should I be concerned that my cell phone could be used as a weapon against me, or somebody, a normal everyday person carrying a pager, can have this type of attack conducted against them? Should the everyday citizen be concerned about this?
That's a very crucial question. And I got a lot of questions like this. I have to say that the pager attack triggered remotely in large scale has amplified that fears, and people start thinking that all cyber systems can be triggered remotely for detonation, or every cyber system can be exploited from a remote location. I can confidently say that these all arguments are not true at all. However, all cyber devices are at risk and often targeted for information the gathering. And we can say that any kind of cyber devices is inherently vulnerable, and one day you can be victimized. However, in any way, this does not imply that your mobile phone or something can be exploited remotely. For instance, it is not possible to destroy a device simply by knowing ID or phone number or whatever. In general, cyber threats are growing as more devices connect to network, internet, and at that point, I believe Israel's psychological warfare can also create exaggerated fears among the public. While intelligence operations are usually cowards, in that case, I believe Israel goes in this attack was not just to harm Hezbollah, but also asserts its power in technological the domain, in intelligence domain, believing that Israel or any state can invade your phone or exploit any kind of the cyber devices is being deceived by their psychological warfare tactics.
Alper, one more question I have. Now, obviously, every country was concerned after they saw this attack. They're probably reviewing their own cyber operations, their cyber capabilities, obviously bringing the whole term cyber inside of the national security understanding. If you were advising the Turkish president or the director of Turkish intelligence, what would you be telling them the day after the attack? What would you advise them to be careful of, also regarding supply chains and whatnot?
I'd like to speak in general rather than directly addressing Turkish authorities. And the government often conducts cyber operation to serve the military, the economics or political interest. And the shift towards cyber warfare has been ongoing for years, actually. Emerging technologies like AI will only intensify such a competition. We also take into consideration in it. In the recent attack shows that avoiding new technologies won't eliminate cybersecurity risk. Please, it is important to remember that in that case, the Hezbollah members has been avoiding to using the smartphone, and then they prefer to use the old-fashioned, the legacy, the pager devices to protect their most likely communication and the position information. But it's failed. So no need to go away from using the technology. Instead, it's essential to adopt a well-known practice to defend against the state-sponsored attack, cyber attack, or like a opportunity operation. Despite the challenges, the R&D and innovation remain key to protecting national interest, in my belief. Forming partnership is also crucial. And specifically, I can say that Turkey has a great potential to collaborate within global technology ecosystem and could emerge as strong player in the field currently dominated by a limited number of the countries. Finally, I would like to emphasize that recent attack has shown that the inspection during production and procurement of the critical hardware or software or any communication devices have become extremely important compared to past time.
Thank you, Alper Özbilen, for joining us on Straight Talk. I want to stay with this topic regarding the escalating crisis engulfing Lebanon and Israel's latest aerial assault that has killed several hundred people. Joining me now from College Park is Seher Kamish. She's a professor of communication at the University of Maryland and a senior fellow at the Middle East Council on Global Affairs. And from Lansing, Michigan, is Mahjoub Zawahiri, a professor of Middle East politics at Qatar University. Thank you for joining me. Seher, this attack, pagers, walkie-talkies, this is something out of a movie. How did this impact the people of Lebanon, and how did it impact you when you read about this in the headlines?
Thank you so much for having me. What we are seeing really is a horror movie. I mean, this is unprecedented to have this kind of attack. Usually when we talk about cyber attacks, we talk about one government maybe hacking or sabotaging another government's communication system or getting into their files or classified information. But to have ordinary people on the street, in the markets, in the supermarkets, in schools, in hospitals, just using pagers and other devices and having these devices explode in their face. Many people lost their lives. Many people lost their eyes. Many people lost their limbs. It's just unbelievable. And it simply means that nobody is safe or secure anymore. I can be using my cell phone and it can just explode. You can be using your iPad and it can just explode. And the very ironic and sad part is that there were those who were actually hailing this kind of, vicious attack as a very delicate and very sophisticated technological advancement. And it shows the technological advancement of Israel and how it is really able to do this kind of operation with a lot of precision. This is not about technological advancement. It is not about precision. It's about the cost of human life. And it's about the fact that nobody can feel secure in today's world, period. So this is a very, very serious and dangerous precedent.
Mahjoub, when you heard about this attack, did you evaluate your consumer electronics in the house? I mean, did you think that, wow, if they can do this in Lebanon, they can do this to anybody?
Actually, I have never forgot the fact that all of the use of technology we have now can be used against us. It's always a part of my discussion when I talk about cybersecurity and the generation 4 of the wars, where basically the human being value is absolutely dismissed, and there is no value to the humans. It's obvious that after nearly 1 year of this killing in Gaza and all of this destruction, all of this killing to the civilians, to the children, to the women, of course you can expect from Israel to do more to achieve what they call it their goals. This is just a new evidence that Israelis in a situation that they try to use every element they can have in hand to say that they are winning or they are defeating their enemy. Of course, using the pager and targeting civilians, we know the number now, around 4,500 people were targeted, but no one knows what will happen if all of those pagers basically worked as the sabotage work as was planned. And I think there are also untold story about the ramification of such attack. These kind of wars and using what the people have in hand of their need, there is a story about using even computers and using TVs at home, and there are a lot of now question about what we have now of technology with all of this serial number. If someone has access to that, what will happen, how they will use it. That is a dangerous, I would say, conjecture in our life. And I think everyone is worried about where things are heading, actually.
Now, over the past year, well, we're almost reaching the 1 year mark of the war on Gaza. We're slowly seeing it expanding to southern Lebanon, strikes in Syria, tit for tats with Iran, also the Houthis in Yemen. Will the next 365 days see this transformed into a regional war, Sahar?
I'm afraid that there are so many signs, pointing to this direction, unfortunately. I mean, President Biden has warned against the escalation to a regional war. There has been no shortage of good rhetoric on the part of the United States. The problem is there has been no enforcement of this good rhetoric. When we talk, for example, about the ceasefire in Gaza, we are still seeing a continuation of the attacks on Gaza. We're still seeing the continuation of the suffering of the Palestinian people. We are now seeing the escalation between Hezbollah and Lebanon, and more than 800 people have been killed in Lebanon since Monday, which is a staggering number, not to mention all of those who have been killed and injured also because of the horrific pagers attack. We are seeing all of these, crossfire exchanges between Hezbollah and Israel. Daily, there has been exchanges, not just in the recent days or weeks, but over the last year, since October 8th up till now, there has been almost daily crossfire exchanges on the border between Lebanon and Israel. So what does that really tell us? It tells us that there is actually an escalation. There were some media experts and analysts here in the U.S. who are saying that Israel is waiting for the green light from the U.S. and Hezbollah is waiting for the green light from Iran in order to, have an escalation. I think that the escalation has, unfortunately and sadly, already started. What we are witnessing is already an escalation. Now, the question is whether the U.S. will be able to finally put some kind of pressure on Netanyahu not to escalate the situation into some kind of, soldier invasion or on-foot invasion, ground invasion of Lebanon, which is, pretty much what he's been talking about, and therefore turning it into actually a full-fledged regional war. As I said, the U.S. has been putting proposals on the table, has been talking about ceasefire, has been using all the right words and all the right rhetoric, but what we have not seen is an enforcement of these good words and good rhetoric.
October 8th, Netanyahu began his war on Hamas. At least that's how it started. But it seemed that the mission quickly creeped into a war on Palestine, Mahjoub. Now we're seeing the same rhetoric regarding Hezbollah, war on Hezbollah. Is this going to remain a war on Hezbollah, or is this going to turn into a war against the Lebanese people and a war against Lebanon?
It's already a war against Lebanese. I mean, they are targeting everywhere in Lebanon, in different cities. Even in Beirut, they are assassinating leaders from Hezbollah. The terminology of the war within the Israeli context means basically a comprehensive military operation. But I think what is missing in Lebanon now is boots on the ground. That's what is missing. If they decide to send troops to the southern Lebanon, that means the whole thing is completed. From my perspective, personally, the war is there. I think the war in the region is there since they started the war on Gaza. And it's the continuation on Lebanon. We saw it in the last 1 week, very harsh and more determination of Israelis to destroy as much as they can of the infrastructure. I was reading this morning a very interesting report about the Generation 4 of the wars and how they aim to, the aim of the war is not only defeating the enemy, rather than destroying all of the elements of life. And I think that's what we see. That's what we saw in Gaza, and that's what we see now in Lebanon. They are destroying every element of life. Basically, they know they cannot defeat non-state actors. They know that they cannot defeat a group like Hamas and Hezbollah. Those groups, they have the lesson from the Americans. The Americans, they felt to defeat to defeat Taliban in Afghanistan. So that's the feeling there. And I see what's missing in the case of Lebanon is boots on the ground. One final point why I think the situation is dangerous: the fact that there is a huge, I would say, support of this war in Lebanon and Israelis, even from the opposition. The opposition in Israel, they say they don't need even a ceasefire, and if there is a ceasefire, should be only 1 week. So it's actually a different story from Gaza. There is a huge support from the Israeli politics and the elite to the war in Gaza. What is missing only boots on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Seher, Mahjoub said there's strong support for this war in Israel. Is there strong unity in Lebanon regarding the situation of Hezbollah being attacked? Are the everyday Lebanese saying, no, this isn't a war on Hezbollah, this is actually a war on the Lebanese people? Or are the Lebanese, at least the everyday citizen, trying to distance themselves and saying, this is not our war, we're not really involved in this?
I think that despite the fact that Lebanon, as we all know, has so many different, sections, different sects, different factions, different groups, but I think in that particular case, this is very much perceived as a war on Lebanon, not just a war on Hezbollah. So somehow the Israelis succeeded to make Hezbollah turn into the symbol of resistance, for the not just for the Lebanese people, for the also the people of Gaza. Remember that Hezbollah is now saying that all our actions are meant to be acts of solidarity with our Palestinian brothers and sisters. We are defending our Palestinian brothers and sisters who are otherwise very much left without any kind of real defense from the Arab world, from the Muslim world, from the international community, and therefore we are coming to their defense. This kind of rhetoric definitely has good echoes within the Arab region, within the Muslim world, whether people agree with Hezbollah as a group or not, whether they like it as a group or not, whether they like the fact that it's backed by Iran or not. The end result is, with Israel's vicious attacks, it is really able to gain more traction, more solidarity, and more support in that particular case with Hezbollah as a symbol of resistance. And all of that now, when we talk about the Lebanese people seeing Hezbollah as a symbol of resistance, and you're talking about Israelis agreeing more about the actions of their governments in Lebanon, all of that also takes us in the direction of more escalation of this particular conflict and the possibility of it growing, very much to somehow a regional confrontation and regional escalation.
Sahar Kamush, Majub Zaweri, thanks for helping me unpack the situation in Lebanon. And that's all for this edition of Straight Talk with me, Yusuf Aram. If you got any comments, please share them with us on X at Straight Talk TRT. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, take care and goodbye.